This is Melissa, and I am a real estate broker, educator, and coach. And today I am joined by the lovely Jamuna Thill. Jamuna is our 2024 president of the Collin County Area Realtors, where she oversees the board of directors and a membership of nearly 12,000 realtors in North Texas. She's also a full-time and full-service realtor who works with consumers who want to buy and sell real estate. So welcome, Jamuna.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. We're going to have a
Thank
great
you.
time chatting today.
Yeah.
I think the topic for today is tell us about local issues in North Texas. So, you've been the president since January, and here we are in October. We're already in fourth quarter. So you've had a good bit of time to be our president. What kind of things are you seeing that are going on in the local real estate market this year?
Well, it's definitely not been a quiet year.
No, I
And
agree
I
with
have
that.
I have stepped into. Someone else asked me that question. How's it going? I'm like, well, how can I define that? It almost feels like I jumped on the Titanic
And we were a sinking
and
ship.
and I'm just navigating the icebergs, because end of the day, we have a job to do. And we are realtors, and there are people out there that we need to help and who need our help, right? So,
Agreed. Yeah.
and I think we are just a very unique industry. Um, and we do something that is not, we're in a business that is not always understood
That is a
because,
true statement.
yes. And I think it's just that I feel like most of us will do a great job and we know what we're doing. And when we do a great job and we help our clients and help them navigate this process, that seems to be simple on the outside, but is actually very complex on the back end.
Hmm.
And our goal is to help them through that process, navigate it, and get them to the closing, which is what they want. They want to move into that home or they want to sell their home and
Right.
move on to their next journey, right? So I think that's what we do, and it's quite a process, and I think we make it look simple, and it's not always. So
Well, you mentioned, it's misunderstood. And I
mhm,
think, I mean, a huge thing,
yes,
not just for the local real estate market, but for realtors all across the country this year
mhm,
has been a big change
yes,
with the compensation regarding NAR's policies, right? The National
mhm,
Association of Realtors policies have changed, which affects the way we do business. And I think that consumers definitely don't have a grasp on, well, what we did before, but certainly what we do now and the things that have changed. That's been a really big change.
yes.
Um, can you talk a little bit about what your experience has been in a leadership role with regards to that change?
So um, I think one of the biggest roles for me this year has been to get realtors more involved, get them to step up on education because that's really what's going to help them.
Hmm.
If you are in this business, you have to stay informed, you have to stay knowledgeable, and our association offers an incredible amount of classes, and you are an instructor yourself, and we're very lucky to have you. And so we have licensed and very able instructors that teach classes because real estate is a continuous process, and we deal with a lot of forms, and they're so specific, and we are trained to use them,
Hmm.
right? And I think that's really important. We
Yeah.
are trained to use the right forms for the right transaction because there are many different types of transactions. And we have to know what those forms are. And those forms are written for us. They're promulgated forms, they're written by attorneys. We have specific fields in there that we can enter. And there's a lot that goes on behind that number or text that we put in there,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
not something that just kind of comes out of our head. You
Yeah.
know,
It
there
didn't come out of thin air.
no, it didn't. You know, there's a reason behind everything that we put on those forms, and those forms are there to help us protect ourselves, our brokerage, and our client,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? So we need to know how to use them, and we are trained to use those forms. And I always like to say there's a reason why we are licensed and fingerprinted because this industry is very regulated.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are realtors, and we can all be real estate agents. We all can go get a license, but we are realtors. We're a trademark. Realtor is a brand, and we live up to a code of ethics that really helps us to be able to represent our clients the best way that we can. Always their interest above ours.
Yeah.
That's the way it's always been done,
I
right?
I love that you brought up the difference between being a real estate agent and having a license and then actually becoming a realtor, right?
Yes.
And you
Mm-hmm.
said we have a code of ethics and we have this duty to our clients to look out for their best interest above all others. And we
Yes.
have these forms that are provided because we're members of this association of realtors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, is there anything else that you want to talk about with regards to just being a realtor and why it's so important for a consumer maybe to hire a realtor? I mean, generally speaking, the folks listening to our podcast are agents, right? But
Right.
I think we have to, as agents, be able to explain that proposition of our value to the consumer. Why should they hire us? Why should they hire a realtor?
And that's been one of the key challenges for us this year,
Hmm.
right? Our forms make it very transparent in our field,
Yeah.
but we all know what we do. We know our value. We are so busy doing what we do because this is a 24/7. Like your brain's always working. And I always say real estate doesn't sleep. It
Yeah.
doesn't.
True.
We are following guidelines in a contract. And when you're working with several contracts, you've just got dates and times in your head that you need to make sure that you keep your client compliant, and
Mhm.
we make sure that we work through this transaction. So we're always, I feel, just live in our head.
Yeah.
We,
Yeah.
after so many years, we're just wired. And we just know that, oh my gosh, okay, that contract is coming up now. We've got to get this in. We've got to make sure that we meet that deadline. And those deadlines are either, business or calendar days and calendar working hours. So there's so much that goes into all of that. But I think what it is that we know what we do. We know our value. We do make a difference. We're helping our clients through a very complex process. And I know it sounds really cliche, but we are helping them through a transaction that is financial. It's a
Mhm.
big deal. And
Yeah.
it really is. I know the consumer and everyone hears this all the time. Yes, it's one of the biggest financial decisions that you are going to make.
Right.
And you have to make the right decision. And that's why you hire a licensed professional to help you work through this process and make sure that you have the right information so that you can make what I would say an informed decision. And I think that is key to what we do.
I love it that you said that. I talk about that all the time. If we will just give consumers the best information possible
Yes,
so that they can make the informed decision, that makes us their trusted guide through the process and
correct.
they can make the best decision for them, for their
Yes,
family, for their future based on
yes,
the information that we give them. So, yeah.
yes. They are relying on us, and it's a it's a huge burden.
Yeah.
I I feel that burden on my shoulder.
Yeah.
When I'm dealing with a client that they are looking to us for everything. We are a resource to them. And that's why we say in our business, it's all based on trust. They're trusting us. You work with people you trust. And it's about building a relationship, right? Because you know what? A closing is done, but to me, it doesn't end there. There's a post-closing process, right? Your client moves to their house, they still have 10,000 questions for you, you know? So it's not, it doesn't end at closing.
I love that. I think that's a super smart conversation to have, especially with newer agents who maybe don't know that yet or haven't figured that out yet, that there's
Hmm.
so much more to the transaction besides just getting to the
Right.
closing table. And sometimes there's so much getting to the closing table, people are probably like, "Whew, we made it.
We're done.
Now I'm finally done," but you're not done, are you?
I always tease my clients, you know, because they have nowhere else to go most of the time. They will only call you. It's like,
Yeah,
Jam, what do I do? When do I get this over there? When do I drop off my check? When do I do this? And it's, you know, how do I do this? What, when, why, everything. Every W word is
yeah,
in there throughout that transaction. And an average transaction, honestly, in terms of calls, it'd be great to just be able to tabulate that. But I know by the time I'm done with the transaction, I probably have 50 to 100, in some cases when it's a complicated transaction, maybe 200 communication in my emails,
right.
right? It is not unknown and it's not unusual to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And to be able to have to go through all of these and be able to respond to them in a timely manner,
Hmm.
right? So, and I think that's really important. So the communication part of it is really important. I just think we know what we do once again, but we have a hard time articulating our value. So that's been one of the challenges of this year for me is to make sure that agents know their value, attend those classes. They know it. They just have a hard time articulating it,
Yeah,
you know, and we have to get really good with that. And that's why we come to classes that Melissa has for
yeah,
us, because Melissa is really great at telling us what we know in our head, but putting it down into words,
yeah.
right?
Making connect the dots.
Yes.
Well, so speaking of big classes and things that realtors can do to educate themselves, one of the things CCAR does, I
Hmm.
think really, really well, is we've had this event for as long back as I can remember called
Hmm.
Blast Off.
Yes.
So we had Blast Off while you were president.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit about how Blast Off maybe went. Was it well attended? And do you know anything about what's maybe coming up for next year's Blast Off?
I would tell every agent, please make sure that you are receiving communication from your association.
Hmm.
It is key, it's critical because in that email or newsletter, there is information that you need to know in order to run your business. Whether a form has changed, make sure that you're using the right forms, right? There
Hmm.
are events that are being held for you to help you so that you can be successful in your business. There's networking events and blast off. And we just had a home ownership fair where you could send your customer, remember, they're a customer until you've signed a representation agreement with them. And then you owe them minimal duties before that and even after. But now you owe them full duties and you owe them fiduciary rights.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's what comes out of just signing what I call a loyalty agreement. It's based on trust. You want to work with me? Awesome. I want to work with you. Let's get going.
Yeah.
Right? Let's understand this form and what it's about, and let's get started on this search because in most cases we always have a timeline. There's a timeline that your tenancy may expire. You're relocating from somewhere. You know you need to get into a home, or you need to sell a home because you're relocating away from where you are right now, even out of state, out of international. There are so many different situations and scenarios, right? So we just had a home ownership fair, but blast off, I have to tell all the agents, please, please, that is one of our most successful events. And here you get the benefit of having some CE classes. You are in a room full of your members, your colleagues, okay, and your peers and affiliates. Affiliates meaning the businesses that work with you to make sure that you get transaction done. You can't do this by yourself. So here's a great chance to connect if you don't have affiliates in your pocket that will help you in terms of helping your client. You are a resource. One of the things that you are a resource to your client. When you're working through a transaction, you need an inspector. Well, here's a room full of inspectors that you can talk to. Take their numbers and you can call them when you've got a contract under option. You got to get inspection done. Most of the time, your clients don't know anything about that, don't know who to call. You know, you know to call a track license inspector, and you can offer them two or three choices, right? Get them to
Yeah,
pick one. Same with loan officers. You got to get qualified. There's no point running around if you don't know what you can buy. So you've got to go get qualified. Here's a room full of loan officers that you can get to know. Each one maybe specializes, I don't know, some of them specialize in VA, some of them really good with first-time homebuyer grants. That is really, really important right now. The rates have come down, but there are some great options out there for your buyers.
yeah,
Get them off the shelf. Get them out there. The
agreed.
market's picking up. To me, when it's quiet, let's go.
Yeah.
We're looking for a deal, you
I
know?
love it that you brought up the affiliates because they
They're so
make
important.
yeah, they make things happen at the board level,
Yes,
right? The
yes,
affiliate members, and they are members of the local board of realtors. They pay dues just like the agents do.
yes. Hmm.
And that allows them access to attend events and sponsor events and things like
Hmm.
that so that the agents can build relationships with those affiliates and have that, favorite roofing company or two or
Hmm.
loan officer or two or
Right.
home inspector or two
Foundation.
or right
Yeah,
foundation
foundation
companies,
companies.
a homeowner's insurance. There's so many different
Hmm.
affiliate members, title companies. I mean, all of these
All
things.
of them.
And I think that that's super important
Hmm.
for an agent to have that, like you said, in their pocket so that they can give that information to their consumer.
Hmm.
So back to blast off. So I'm going to
Hmm.
meet affiliates
So
and
you've got affiliates there, and you've got a bunch of classes and industry information.
mhm.
Why should the consumer come to you? Because you should know more than they do. They can read whatever they want to all day long. There's lots of news out there, but you are the expert in your local market. And our market is local. Our data is local. This is where we practice. We are boots on the ground.
Yeah,
So we should know what's happening. We should know what the trend is. We should know what the stats are, right? We should know what what does it look like in 2 to 3 months? What is the one question that when you go anywhere, to any gatherings or parties, anywhere you go, and you meet a friend, a member of the public, hey, Melissa, what's going on with the market?
yeah, yeah. They all want to know what's
They
happening
want
in
to
the real
know.
estate space.
So
Yeah. So
it's
blast
your
off is a good
job.
tool.
It's
Yeah,
a great tool.
I love that.
It's an all-day thing, and we may look into making it 2 days because we're always sold out.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
wait till the last minute
yeah.
because it's just packed with information. We have economists there. We have speakers maybe on their expert knowledge. We have great producers that talk about things that might be helpful to you to help you with your growth and your business, right? So I think, it's just one of those things. Mark it in your calendar. It's in January, beginning of the year. Know what you are up against beginning of the year so you can start working on your client database.
I think that's great. Now, you also mentioned plugging in with local business development meetings. I
Yes.
don't, it was somewhere in that conversation a minute ago, and you said, there's all these opportunities within your
Mm-hmm.
local board to network.
Mm-hmm.
So I know we have, and I have had for a long time, the meeting in Plano, and we have had for a long time Allen and McKinney and the Eastern Collin County out in, that Wiley, Saxe sort of area. But several years ago, we added Prosper Salina,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
now we have the Melissa Van Alstine meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the new
Yeah.
one this year? Is Melissa and Van
Yes.
Alstine?
That's what we're working on. Just trying to
So
find a
much growth.
location. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So with all of these opportunities for agents, give a little information about what should they expect from a business development meeting through Collin County Area Realtors.
So this is a business development meeting. It's a networking meeting, but it's a class where you can sit down and listen to experts in their field.
Mhm.
So, for example, we've got representatives from an insurance company. Insurance is a big topic right now,
Yeah.
right? When you're talking about what's going on in the market right now, going back to your very first question, what is going on in the market right now? What is some of the issues going on? Well, insurance is number one, right? Because that affects the bottom line to your clients when they close. and insurance has gone up. But we want to know more. We want to know, well, why did it go up? And where is it going up? And who's leaving the industry? Who is in the industry? Who should you call? Because you want to refer them to your client who needs to go shop for an insurance because they cannot close if they're doing a loan. The lender will not let them close without insurance,
Yeah. And
right?
it's a
And we've heard
big
so much about it.
expense. Right now,
Yeah,
it's a huge expense and
it is.
a part of what might make home ownership unaffordable for someone. So they should look that information up early in the process.
Yes, absolutely. That's what you do right at the beginning, and that's where we come in as realtors. Tell them, hey, start working on this, start researching this, start talking to your friends, your neighbors, and see what they have, and
Yeah.
then give them those phone numbers and let them call because it is one of those things they have to make time for because there are questions they need to ask. And so it's really important for us to be able to give them that information. So that is something that could be at a business meeting.
Okay. I like
Another example is an appraisal.
that. Hmm.
How appraisal is happening in this post NAR settlement market, right? I think that's really important to understand how appraisal is going to work. I think Texas has always had wonderful appraisals,
Yeah.
right? We've done a really good job with that, but that's going to change a little bit. So the last one I went to, we had appraisers talking about appraisal, how that changes. Right. So I think those are really important things. And if you want to learn about your particular city and if that's where you work. So I went to one where we had the Plano EDC, the Economic Development Director came out and talked to us about what's happening in Plano right now. Why are all these roads being dug up? You know, traffic is, just it's been really hard to get anywhere because the infrastructure is being built. It's a little bit of pain for a long-term gain, right? But I think if you understand what it is, you can also pass this message because you're really also the ambassadors for your city. So when you get this information, guess what? You become that knowledgeable person and you also help pass and share that information with the consumer, right? When they complain about traffic, well, you know what? That is your dollars working. That's your dollars. It's been put to work. We're building the infrastructure
Yeah.
for the
I love
future.
that.
We're
It's,
replacing pipelines. We're replacing sewer lines. You see it everywhere you go. Yes, it's painful, but that's what you voted on. That was that bond,
I
right?
think it sounds like your business development meeting is probably like the hyper local.
Yes.
You know, like Collin
Yes.
County area is your bigger, broader area that you're a member of Collin County area realtors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if you service that Plano area, that's your hyper local
Hyperlocal.
Plano
Correct.
part of Collin County. But if you are in that Prosper Salina area,
Mm-hmm.
that's your hyper local Prosper Salina. And I even think that they would likely not just have insurance or have, appraisals where they're kind of more broad topics, but I'm certain that there's even more narrowed and focused topics like
Mm-hmm.
what's happening in the school district, or like you said, the
Correct.
roads in a particular town,
Mm-hmm.
because real estate is local.
It is local.
Yeah.
It's,
That's a
it,
great benefit by being a member of CCAR for sure.
yes,
Um,
absolutely. Yes.
What about, so we've had some really cool stuff happen this year. We've had the homeownership fair, we've had the blast off, we've got these great business development meetings, and we've even added one. Can you talk a little bit about the Real Estate Political Action Committee? Because, in Texas, we call that tree pack. And, in other states, they call it RPAC. But here, we're fancy. We call it tree pack because we're in Texas. But tell us, is there anything that happened this year or anything noteworthy that we need to be aware of as we move into next year? Things that maybe happened with TreePack under your leadership.
So I've got to say kudos to the team for TreePack, our government affairs team. We have lots of committees at CCAR, and we have an amazing ensemble of staff that are just really good at what they do. You all should make a trip to CCAR. Come in and say hi. Get to know your association because we have so many resources for you. We are, as I say, that was my theme this year. And that was, home is home in any language, but consider CCAR as your home, right? This is your home. You're welcome. Come on in and check on classes and everything that is there to help you with your success as a professional. So so the one of the things was that we wanted to make sure that we offer classes, not technically classes, but just information about TreePack. When I started 20 years ago in this business, I didn't know what it was. So Texas Real Estate Political Action Committee is what that stands for. And it is, as we say, an investment in your business. I truly did not understand it until I did my first trip. It's called the Hill Trip, and I went down to the Capitol. So 2 or 3 buses, packed with agents. We went down there to meet our local representatives. And that was an eye-opener for me. And from then on, attending Texas Realtor Leadership Program, TRLP, that you can be recommended for, opened up my eyes as to what TreePack really means. It's an investment in your business. And what we're doing here is that our main goal here is to advocate. We become advocates because we're in this industry and we want to protect our industry, but we also want to advocate for homeowner rights and property rights. And so we've had a couple of really amazing wins that I can tell you from the top of my head that would affect the end homeowner. We lobbied for and we got that $100,000 homestead.
That was a really, really big
That
deal.
was, yeah, because I have to pause because that was huge.
Yeah.
For us to get that, that was huge. Because we know how the homeowners are struggling, home prices have gone up, and of course, inevitably, your property taxes go up.
Right.
So here comes 100,000 relief
Mhm.
on your property taxes, right? And you know, this is something when we talk about value, here's a little nugget right here.
Right.
Talk about what you have done to your clients, right? This was for you. You helped do this. This is a benefit of using a realtor because we're fighting for you. Every single day we're fighting for you. So that 100,000 exemption of your IC taxes was significant. I had people that called me and said, "Hey, my taxes went down." For some of you, maybe it went up, right? But that was supposed to help you.
Yeah.
So I think that was huge. And then, you know, I can go back to two years ago when everyone complains about homeowners association, but they have a job to do, you know, and they do an amazing job. But then there are times when we need to keep an eye on what's going on here because it's once again, it's affecting the bottom line of our homeowners in terms of what is due, but to make sure that they also do what they're supposed to do and and just be mindful of fees. So we went ahead and reformed HOA and it became a law and where HOA management companies have to upload their fees, their sheet, so that they become more transparent. Because I think it's really helpful to title companies, to us, when we are trying to get into a contract. I can go look on the website, hoa.gov, which was created based on stories from the consumer, from the public about problems that they were having. And we captured all of that information and we were able to go ahead and lobby and have a central database of HOAs that you could go in there and check and make sure that you understood what those fees were.
Right.
And that's important for us when we're trying to create a net sheet for a buyer and even for a seller, because there are transfer taxes. These are documents that have to be transferred to the new buyer. So we put a cap on that because some of those fees were a little too high.
Mhm.
Not
And a
always
little all over
horrible,
the place, weren't
all
they?
over the place, you
Yeah.
know, there was excessive fees. So that's what we did. Once again, Realtor, here's your value. Another nugget for you. You did that, right? You did that. You helped do that by paying into TreePack, right? It's a donation.
Yeah.
And then the most recent win, I would say, is that we've had STRs, which is short-term rentals, as a discussion.
Hmm.
And you've all seen how that has impacted your neighborhood in all the cities,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So one of the big wins that we had just recently, like 2 months ago, we had a HOA, a big management up in a big development up in Anna. And the HOA decided that they would ban rentals altogether in their neighborhood.
Yeah. Not just
So,
short-term rentals, it was all
no,
rentals.
everything. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like, what? How can they do that? And why would they even think about doing that? So
Yeah.
you, as an advocate in the real estate industry, we speak on behalf of all the different kinds of homeowners, right? Whether they're renters. You may be representing a renter, you may be representing an investor, you may be representing a buyer, you may be representing a homeowner. It was going to impact all of them.
Yeah.
So
And
we jumped in.
and I
As
think also not just impact them today, but impact them way into the future. Because what
long,
if you buy it
yes.
and you live in it, and then later down the road, 5 or 10 or 15 years down the road, you wanted to rent it,
Mm-hmm.
been able
Yeah.
to salvage that ability for you, that protection for you to be able to do with your property what you
Mm-hmm.
want to do with your property.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yeah.
and we're just big advocates of that. You are a homeowner, you have rights. You
Yeah.
should be able to utilize your property, right? You should be able to live in peace and quiet.
Yeah, exactly.
And
It's
not have
this
to think about
bundle
all
of
the
rights that you get
yes,
when you become a property owner.
exactly,
Absolutely.
exactly.
I love that.
There's
I
so
love
many
it.
more wins. I can go into a whole bunch of others, but yes.
Oh, well, it
But
sounds like we've
this
had,
is where you have to find out more. So come and see us.
yeah. Well, I think we've had a really good year overall with you at the helm and with you as our leader. So thank you for giving. I know from experience that it is a lot of time away from your business and time away from your clients to be in all of the meetings that you have to attend,
Hmm.
the conferences that you go to, and just all of the things that go into being that leader for 12,000 Realtor members or so in the
Hmm.
Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that's a really big deal. So thank you for giving your time and effort and energy towards helping it make a better place for all of us to do our business.
Yes, and the association is just wonderful. They do such a great job. And our goal has been to welcome, agents back in there. And all our classes have been full. They've been sold out. You see a class on ccar.net, go into education and go look at stuff and register because they're all getting sold out.
Yeah.
Because they're all important classes for you to have. And I guess just on one more note, if you remember, you've got to get your code of ethics in. It's due
Oh,
every
yeah.
2 years. So please go sign up for classes before they get sold out. And it's okay if they get sold out as CCAR. You can get them on NAR. You can do a virtual. You can do classes there. Enough they're available, but we are already end of the year.
Mhm.
And come end of the year, you may not be able to do business.
Yeah.
So just know this is really important. And that's why you need to make sure that you're looking at all the newsletters, even on Facebook, CCR updates. Make sure that you're paying attention because this is what you do, but this is also really important for you to conduct your business. You're not alone. You have resources that you can utilize. You have a broker to help you, okay? And you have an association. And, I think this is the year where you have to step up and go into all these sites that you are a member of. Texas Realtors, if you can get to a conference, it'd be amazing. And NAR, the National Association, they have so much resources for you that you can print out, you can email, you can send to a client because our goal this year is to make sure that you educate your client, educate the public and the consumer, because then it all comes back to you so that you can practice your business and it's a respectful business. And you should be proud of being a realtor. You really should because you make a difference.
I love that. I love that. And we do. We make a difference.
Mhm.
Well, do you have any other things that you want to bring up for CCAR, or do you feel like, we've covered a lot of it? And if you do,
Yes.
then we'll wrap everything up and we'll
Mhm.
certainly invite you back to be on the podcast.
CCAR is where realtors come home.
I love that. I love that. That's true. And home in any language, which I really love. I love that theme for you
Yes.
this year. Well, I thank you so much for being
Thank
with us
you.
today and taking just a few minutes out of your time. And we'd be happy to have you back on and certainly share some of your expertise with other agents that are listening. And if you are listening and you've enjoyed this, please join us next time on our podcast where we talk about all things real estate. And we will see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Where is my, oh, there it is.